Welcome into Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Thanks so much for being with us. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside Paul Dottino. 201-939-4513 is the phone number, or you can find us on social media at #GiantsChat. And as a reminder, you can find the archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and giants.com/podcasts. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Welcome to the show. Lots of transactions going on around the National Football League. But Paul, of course, we got to start with the big news. Yesterday was a big day in the NFL, Paul. First of all, congratulations to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift getting engaged.
Somebody's going to have a big party.
Somebody's going to have a big party.
And it won't be me.
Are you going to get the invite to the wedding?
No, I doubt it. I'm not going to the reception either.
Of course, I know that Paul was glued to the Travis and Taylor news and digging through the Easter eggs and all that. But between that, we were also monitoring the roster cuts going from 90 to 53, the waiver wire transactions going through today, Wednesday. Of course, teams had until noon to place their waiver wire claims. And just a reminder of how the waiver wire works in the NFL. It's not like your fantasy team. So the Giants have the third pick, or the third spot in the waivers. So if they put in a request or a claim on a player, they are the number 3 priority every single time.
Well, for the first month of the season.
Right. Right now. But
yes.
So unless somebody, the Titans or the Browns, put in a claim before them on said player, or if they put a cap on, say, okay, we're going to claim this player, and this player, but we only want one of these 3, they kind of rank them priority-wise. That's how it goes. So feasibly, if the Titans put in 53 claims, they could claim all 53 players. They would just have to make the corresponding roster move. They're not doing that, of course, but yes, trying to make it make sense.
I don't believe that's actually true.
No, they have the number 1 priority every single claim, unless they're not actually going to do that, because that would shatter their roster.
The rule in the league, unless it changed in the last year or two, which I could be mistaken, is that you have to prioritize the player. So let's say if you are Cleveland and they're ahead of the Giants by 1 pick. If they have 7 guys they put in a claim for, they have to prioritize. At least this is the way it worked for years.
Yeah.
It may have changed. They have to prioritize those 7 players. The league says to them, okay, who is the number 1 guy on your list? And if the number 1 team didn't pick them, Cleveland gets first shot at him. They cannot say all 7 of our guys, if the number 1 team didn't take them, we get all 7.
All right, I then have a different understanding.
If that's the case, then that's a new change in the rule. I checked with someone upstairs in the front office about it this morning. They were not part of the personnel department. They were just part of support staff, and they said they weren't sure, but they understood it the way I understood it for years. Somebody in the writer's realm put out what you said earlier.
Yeah.
And I believe that they're erroneous.
Okay.
But haven't said that.
We'll check it out. Either way, a realistic approach to this is that a team isn't going to want to claim every single player they put a claim in. They will prioritize them, just like when you're making changes to your fantasy roster. If you need another running back, say you put a list together and hope you get 1, but you don't want all of them. And so I think that is how these teams are operating as well. The initial 53 came out, Paul, and I think there are a lot of exciting moves and some surprises, some players that I think you and I both expected to be on this roster that weren't, and some that I think that we're both pleased to see did make the roster.
Well, I think when you finally looked at the list and you saw 3 special teamers, of course, and then it broke down to 27 and 25, because the Giants were able to throw Joshua Ezeudu on recallable injured reserve.
27 offense, 25 defense.
Yeah. Now, see, here's the thing, and I know a lot of people forgot about this, and maybe we should have brought it up more during the shows. I don't think we brought it up maybe once or twice in the last month, and I apologize, folks. We should have spent more time on this. You get the 2 recallable injured reserve guys before your 53 gets finalized. So basically, you get 55. It's a way to, I don't want to say game the system, but if you've got guys dinged up, you can keep 55 instead of 53.
Yes, but you can keep 55, but you can only really have 53. So when those dinged up guys do get healthy, you have to make
you get a whole month.
You have to make that corresponding.
Yeah, but you get a month.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a way to game the initial system.
Work smarter, not harder.
But Joshua Zudo, we know, missed the last couple of practices last week, so he was in fact nicked up. Mm-hmm. So he does qualify for the recallable or the retrievable injured reserve list. He has to miss the first 4 weeks of the season.
Right.
But he, in effect, is the 54th player.
Right.
So that's why I say, we kind of did a disservice, I think, in a lot of ways by not telling people that they had the ability, if they wanted to, and if they had guys who were dinged, they had the ability to go up to 55.
Right.
Temporarily.
But again, those other spots are essentially injured reserved players. The wide receiver room, Paul, let's start there. That was a competition that you and I were talking about quite a bit. And that was a tough competition. First of all, congratulations, Bo Collins, a guy who undrafted out of Notre Dame, worked his way onto the 53, a guy who really flashed in training camp in the preseason. You could see how much Dable liked what he was doing out there. The wide receivers ended up being Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Gunnar Olszewski, and Bo Collins on the first 53. Gunnar, also another guy who was a big special teams factor.
Had to be.
And then also was being really more incorporated into the offense, not just on specials. I mean, he got injured before week 1 of last season. You hate to see that. He comes back and he's really playing well. Lil Jordan Humphrey, a guy who I really liked. Looks like he's going to be signing to the practice squad with the Giants. So that's going to be great to still have him around. Of course, the recipient of Jackson Dart's first NFL touchdown.
Yeah, and against Buffalo in the first preseason game of the season. I will say this, and I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked John yesterday. I don't remember Gunnar Olszewski since the time he came back onto campus. Remember, Ford Wheaton had gotten the Achilles. Mm-hmm. I don't remember Olszewski dropping a pass.
No.
There were a couple of diving attempts where he couldn't hold on, but those don't count as drops. Okay, coaches' drops are passes that absolutely should have been caught, and you didn't do it. I don't remember him having a drop the entire training camp.
No. And the other thing, too, is the way that he moves is so clean. And don't take my word for it. I'm standing on the sideline next to Brandon London, for example, former NFL wide receiver, who, as he will tell you, hey, he's got a Super Bowl ring, Dots.
He does. He does.
And a CFL legend.
And trust me, she's right. Boy, does he grade those receivers tough.
He does.
He and I actually, though, I will say, both agree about grading drops. We are tough on drops. Most people look at the two of us and they're like, no, that's not a drop. And Brandon's like, no, Dottino, what do you think? Drop.
Brandon is a guy who knows how hard it is to be a receiver in the National Football League. He worked his way up and down from the 53 to the practice squad, was a part of the Super Bowl run team, played in the CFL. He knows exactly what it takes. And for Brandon to be standing next to me on the sideline of practice to talk about how sharp Gunnar's route running is, it's a high praise.
Well, and he's also tougher than nails.
Yeah.
He is one scrappy dude, if I can, pull a word out of the hat here. So smart, scrappy, I guess, let's use Dable's words. Smart, tough, dependable.
Smart,
He
tough,
does all
dependable.
three.
Yeah,
he does
exactly.
all three. Better for punt returns with the Giants. And Smith Marset was better on kickoff returns. But, excuse me, it was clear that Olszewski, earlier in his career, had also had kickoff return experience. The Giants decided to go there. And you know what? He won the spot.
Yeah.
Give him credit. He earned it.
Give him credit. Another move, I think that was an emotional one for Giants fans. Of course, Tommy DeVito waived yesterday.
Yeah.
They can't keep 4 quarterbacks. It's very rare a team does. And you've got the kind of clear depth and clear direction of the future of this team in Jackson Dart. Tommy DeVito, a very sentimental player who has grown tremendously in his time with the Giants. But it's really outside of a catastrophic event. There's not really a situation where you see him seeing the field. And they're not going to keep him just to develop him to what end, because Jackson Dart is clearly the future of this franchise. Incredible young man, incredible talent, great final performance at MetLife.
It's easy to root for him, man.
Easy to root for him, and remains to be seen at this moment where his next chapter will be. But who knows? I mean, maybe he just ends up with the Jets. They got quarterback needs. Who knows? There will be some spot for Tommy DeVito in the National Football League.
Well, quite frankly, I keep looking here for anybody from the national ESPN or NFL Network media who might be, as they're starting to spray out the waiver claims. Mm-hmm. I'm not seeing Tommy DeVito's name anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, it's already, 45 minutes since?
Yeah, so waiver claims were due at noon.
Right.
And
the league processes them right away.
So they should be trickling out pretty quickly.
So, to this point, his name hasn't appeared anywhere. I would think, being that he's a quarterback and coming from New York, high profile, his name would probably get out pretty fast if he had been claimed by somebody.
Yeah.
And his agent, Sean Stellato, who is quite a character, is also not going to be too shy about letting the world know if his guy got claimed.
But it also could be a better situation if he is not claimed and has an opportunity to choose the situation. Sometimes nobody makes a claim, but they say, hey, you want to come to the practice squad because we don't want to claim you on the 53. But a team like the Jets, for example, who need quarterback depth, could bring him up to that practice squad. And then there is a chance with, Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor banged up already. There's a possibility that we see him make the field there and already in New Jersey.
Tommy may be left with a decision to make as to what practice squad do you want to go to. It may not even be a 53. Now, I'd be surprised because I think he's good enough to be on an NFL roster. Okay, I do. But if he's not, then he's got to figure out where he wants to go.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of challenging and emotional moves for this roster, for this fan base. One of the ones that was a bit surprising, I think, for some was Elijah Chapman. Elijah Chapman didn't make the 53 yesterday.
Well, his ability to play some fullback, and they did more and more of that over the last couple of weeks. Brian Daboll flat out told the media, he said, look, we play guys at other positions like that because we want to give them a chance to increase their value. Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of us thought, and I absolutely bought in, if they're giving him a chance to increase his value, chances are they really like him. And you know how I feel about fullbacks. I'm an old school guy. So if you got a guy who's going to get it up there and just start knocking people on their butts, I'm all in. So yeah, I had Chapman on my 53. Again, I haven't heard his name or seen his name anywhere being taken. I would assume, based on Dre Patterson, the defensive line coach here, who absolutely adores Chapman, I would assume he would be invited back.
Yeah. Remains to be seen. Of course, moves are being made as we're speaking. The priority, it seems, for the Giants and positions that I would expect that they'll be targeting in waiver wire claims, safety is one, Paul?
Well, we knew that they only took 3 on yesterday's 53. And
Dane Belton, Javon Holland, and Tyler Nubin, yes.
That's really one short.
Right.
You usually expect there to be 4. So, yeah. We don't have confirmation from anyone yet. Brian Daboll and Joe Shane will be talking sometime after 2 o'clock today. Mm-hmm. So, undoubtedly by then we will have confirmation. And as you guys know, if you've been following this show, we don't announce any transactions until they're official here because the team, they are very careful that sometimes things fall through the cracks and whatever they think might happen doesn't happen. So they want to be very careful until the ink is dry on a piece of paper before they say, go ahead, talk about that move.
Absolutely.
So that's why we can't say anything about anything that is potentially being done. We can say to you that maybe there's been a report out there, but we can't confirm it.
Yes. And things will be confirmed later today. So tomorrow, tune into Big Blue Kickoff Live to have those conversations and to hear all about the thoughts and analysis of those impending moves. Of course, Brian Daboll, Joe Shane, scheduled to speak to the media at 2 p.m. Eastern today to discuss the roster after the waiver claims and all of that stuff goes through. Anything else about the initial 53, Paul, that stands out to you?
No, not particularly. I mean, the wide receiver thing, keeping 6 was kind of odd. 4 tight ends was kind of odd. 11 offensive linemen. Well, he only got 11 because of the Izuru move. A lot of teams keep 9. Some will go 10.
Yeah.
The Giants went 11.
Also, to your 4 tight ends point right there, too, I think that is just credit to Thomas Fidone. The 7th round draft pick out of Penn State, rookie tight end, Thomas Fidone really played his way onto this roster in both practice and in the games, and the way that not only was he able to make plays, but also he was able to course correct. You know, he'd make a mistake and evolve in real time. And I think that's something that the coaching staff really respected.
Fidone has a really nice toolbox. He's got a lot of upside. We certainly know about his work ethic coming back from 2 ACLs, you know, to be able to produce at Nebraska to the point where he was actually drafted. I mean, some guys after 2 significant injuries like that, they're forced to be undrafted free agents. They don't even get a draft choice used on them. He was taken in the 7th round. So the Giants obviously had a really good eye for him. And then he comes in and, boy, during training camp, he made some really nice catches. He's got length. He's got good hands. Made a really nice high point on a 2-point conversion in Buffalo in the preseason opener, and then came crashing to the ground, held on to the ball. You know, it was a really good grab.
Yeah.
You know, and he had caught a touchdown the other night.
Yeah.
So,
and I think
I get it. He earned it.
And at Penn State, I think when you've got a tight end like Tyler Warren playing there, that's the guy who kind of gets a lot of the shine and the attention. But Fidone, also a tough guy. Self-taught tattoo artist who tattooed himself. I don't know about you guys. If any of you have tattoos, you know how, you know, it's takes focus, but to do that to yourself, that takes real toughness.
I have no appetite for that.
Yeah. So shout out to Thomas Fidone. Although the only downside, Paul, that I can see for you here is that Fidone is one of the few guys in this building that loves potatoes in the cafeteria as much as Dots does. And so you're just going to have to fight him for the last fresh batch of potatoes.
He's 6'7". I think he wins.
He might win. That one.
I think so too.
Yeah. Giants fans, I want to make sure that you guys are aware the Giants have announced the season kickoff event presented by Verizon. It's Friday, September 5th from 2 to 8 p.m. at the American Dream. You're going to want to come through. You'll see a Giants fan zone. There's going to be autographs, Giants legends, a kids zone, a lot of activities, face painting, a lot of fun opportunities. Brandon London and I will be there. Evan and Tiki are going to be doing their WFAN show from 2 to 6:30 there. We're going to have some players scheduled to appear from the current New York Football Giants, some star players. So it'd be a good opportunity to be up close and person with your favorite Giants players. You don't want to miss it. Friday, September 5th, 2 to 8 p.m. at the American Dream. Go to giants.com/season kickoff for tickets. And kick off the 2025 New York Football Giants season, which is just around the corner, Paul. Preseason's behind us. Training camp's behind us. It's go time. And it's going to be pretty exciting. And it's going to be interesting, too. I mean, we're talking a lot about the roster, but one other big piece of news that does affect the Giants is Rashee Rice is going to be suspended for the beginning of the season. Well, you might be asking, well, he plays for the Chiefs. What does that have to do with the Giants? Well, the Chiefs are the Giants' Week 3 opponent, home opener opponent. So if the Chiefs are without a significant piece in Rashee Rice, something to be considering.
Well, let's see. Terry McLaurin did return and do his deal with Washington, so he's all squared.
All squared. Hasn't been practicing, but all squared.
I would say there's a good chance he'll be on the field week 1 against the Giants.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not going to miss it. I'm just reminding you, it takes a while to get back into that
I don't think he'll be 100%.
He'll be all right. He'll be good to go.
But he'll get a helmet.
Yeah.
Okay. Week 2, Giants play Dallas.
Yeah.
And the guys on Sirius NFL Radio were talking about him yesterday.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah, that's the other guy who's had some contract issues.
It has been 27 days since Micah Parsons tweeted out a farewell to Dallas, a multi-page notes app farewell saying, "Thanks, Dallas, I'm out." So, and nothing has happened, so.
No, and there's been some ruffled feathers on the team side and on his side.
Yeah, he was sleeping on the sideline of a preseason game, so.
Now, the speculation on Sirius yesterday from the NFL folks who were on hosting those shows was that, and one of the guys they had was a front office guy. He said there's no way Parsons is playing opening night against Philadelphia.
No.
Because that's a Thursday night game, so it's not even Sunday. It's 3 days earlier.
Short week, yeah.
He's like, I'm telling you now, even if they did the deal today, if I were the coach of the GM, I would tell him, you're not playing week one because you got to ramp up. And there's no way you can expect him to be able to go under live bullet scenarios.
Against the defending Super Bowl champions.
Well, doesn't matter who they're playing. It's a live game without ramp up.
Yeah.
That's just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I'm going to say that that's probably a pretty smart move and a pretty widespread feeling around the league that Parsons will miss the Philadelphia game. Now, at what point does he put himself in jeopardy of playing against the Giants in week 2? I don't know where that date lies. What is the deadline for him to be able to be comfortably put into the lineup against the Giants? I don't know what that is. Usually, coaches will tell you they want a guy to get 10 to 14 days of being in the building and doing stuff before they even think about getting you on the field. So you want to use that as a guide, go ahead. I don't know what Parsons is thinking, but if he misses the Giant game, oh, what a shame.
Well, it is a curious scenario, right? You're watching this all dramatically play out in Dallas, and Jerry Jones has not been shy about how much he loves the circus element of it and the reality show element of it and the dramatics. He says, it's like a soap opera, and it has been good for the numbers of the Netflix documentary about the Cowboys that Jerry Jones is an investor in. So, hey, is this a marketing ploy? Perhaps. However, Jerry, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce really just put a thorn in your side there, because now they are dominating the news cycle instead of Micah Parsons and the Cowboys. And so that free advertisement from this drama has gone down, because everyone's wondering, well, when did they get engaged? Was it right after the podcast? Are there headphone marks on her hair because of when she's taking the pictures? Where are they going to get married? That's what the internet, at least my corner of it, is talking about. More so than, all right, we're kind of tired of this, Jerry and Micah, just figure it out. So at this point, does he say, okay, I've gotten all the juice out of the squeeze of this for the, no publicity is good or bad publicity scenario. Let's just get it done. Or does this continue to drag on and the stubbornness hit ahead? And then we see, worst case scenario for the Cowboys, is this a 2018 Le'Veon Bell scenario in which he's like, all right, I'm just going to sit out the whole season then.
Johnny Mac, we have gone off the rails. We are
rails? It's
we are now talking about Q Factor, ratings, and paparazzi. Okay?
Welcome to the show.
There's I don't know if there's any way to save this program right now.
You know how we save it? We get to the callers, 201-939-4513. Let's get the callers to take us back on track, starting with Joe in Pennsylvania. Joe, bring us back to reality here. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live with Paul Dottino and Madelyn Burke.
Okay, the Giants are paying off Swift there, so she goes honeymooning with Travis there that week of the Giants,
Joe gets it, Paul. Joe gets it. He's on board.
There you go. Paul, you said on this waiver wire thing, how that goes. I thought it was first team Cleveland, they could pick anybody, then the second and the third team would be the Giants, they have anybody. Is that the way it goes, or am I wrong?
No, that's right. It's Cleveland, Tennessee, and the Giants. But I think the question becomes now, and I saw the same thing that Madelyn had seen earlier on the web. I checked with somebody here, and they were like, I don't think that's right. But it was not someone from the personnel department, because they were busy this morning. As you can imagine, they had stuff going on. So I was not going to bother anybody in personnel. But the old rule was a player had to prioritize. These are the players we'd like to claim, and you would have to go through based on their order of player, one player at a time. They couldn't just scap up the whole group of 5 players.
My understanding is that is correct as well. You have to prioritize which players you want. However, player 1, player 2, you are still number 3 on the list for each of those players.
Unless, that is true.
Unless you put a cap and say, okay, here's a list of 5 players I want in this order. I only want the first 2 that I can get. So if number 1 is claimed by Tennessee and number 2 is available and number 3 is claimed by Cleveland and number 4 is available, you'll get 2 and 4. Or if none of them are claimed by anyone before you on the waiver wire, you'll get 1 and 2. Or if all of them are claimed by teams before you on the waiver wire, you'll get none of them.
The point being that no one team, unless nobody else puts in a claim, is going to be able to collect the whole slew of players at once. I thought that's what you were saying.
No, I meant that as in, like, feasibly you could. They wouldn't, because I could not imagine Tennessee, who has the number 1 claim order on the waiver wire, would say, forget about this entire roster we've got. Let's start over with only waiver wire claims. That would be chaotic.
They want 53 all new players.
53 all new guys. Because
now, they technically could do it.
But they technically
as
could
number 1,
do that,
they could.
is what I'm saying. They're not going to, because every player you claim, you have to have a corresponding move of releasing
that
another.
Is correct.
But they technically could, owning that number 1 spot. And so what I was trying to articulate is that the first spot, they have top claim carte blanche. It's not like they have top claim for 1 pick and then it just resets.
No, they would have the top choice for any player that is on the waiver wire.
Yes.
That is true.
And the Giants have the 3rd choice for any player that is on the waiver wire.
That is true.
Yes.
So Tennessee's number 1.
Yes.
Do their players all have to go through the waiver wire, or can they claim their first player themselves off their team?
So their 53, like the way that Giants have put out their initial 53, the Titans have their initial 53, and that is set. And if they want to claim another player that has been waived by another team, they have the first choice. So they can just say, we want that player, and they'll get him because nobody picks before them. But they have to release somebody to pick that guy up.
Can they claim their own player, Tennessee?
No.
No. I don't think they would, because if they wanted to claim that player, why would they have waived him?
You can't. Waivers are they're non-retrievable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Automatically, if you waive a player, you cannot reclaim him.
Right. You can hope to sign him to the practice squad, but if you claim him, you're claiming him to the 53, which you're not doing.
No,
okay,
you can't.
when
it's
you
illegal.
signed him to the practice squad, can you offer him anything you want, say like veterans especially? Can you offer him more money?
Yes, you can offer bonus money to a practice squad signee. 7 years ago, that's what the Giants, the Jets did with Davis Webb. If you remember, backup Giants quarterback, he was waived. He got claimed by the Jets. Was not claimed by the Jets. Let me correct myself. Was picked up on the practice squad by the Jets. And as a courtesy to them, because they really wanted him, they actually paid him a substantial bonus and guaranteed salary as if he was like a draft choice. And that goes against the cap.
Oh. Okay. What I wanted to really call about there was the players that stood out here in the preseason, and I have some of them definitely as Greg Dulwich, Turbo Miller, and I thought I heard the coach say these guys ain't competing just about the tight ends and the running backs in their class, but also like say we kept 11 linemen. I thought maybe they'd keep one of them, or where even a defensive backs. I think we kept a lot of defensive backs that they definitely outplayed like the lower defensive backs or offensive guys. That's what got me a little bit. And I don't think I see the big thing with Mandridge over Dulwich that much there, because when he comes into the game, Mandridge, he's a blocker. Okay,
you're
Paul.
Talking about Manhurst.
Or Manhurst, yeah.
Yes, he is a blocker, the best pure blocker of the tight ends.
He's a blocker. Okay, he has that over Dulwich there. But why can't we just use one of these fabulous number 11 linemen to block, and we could have kept Greg Dulwich there? You know, and he also tips off that we're basically going to be blocking and running. You know what I mean? When he's in the game, I think, and
Joe, here's what I'm going to do.
Shine Fedoni to me. I don't understand that.
I'm going to give you two sides to the coin on your question. All right, number one, usually teams keep 3 tight ends. I myself, if it were my roster, I would have kept 3 tight ends. Okay? As much as I love Fedoni, I would have found another way to get him on the team, but I would have kept the 3 tight ends. Now,
you would have kept him over Dulridge even, because he's a young guy, Dulridge.
Well, you asked me about
Dulcich. Yeah.
Dulcich is his name, but you're asking me between Manhurts. You asked me about Manhurts first, right? Let me take this one at a time, because you're getting real confusing to me. First things first. Manhurts is the best pure blocker of the tight ends, and yes, there is a case to be made, as I have made many times over the last few months. If you use a jumbo package with a jumbo lineman, a 6th offensive lineman in short yardage, you don't necessarily have to go and keep an extra tight end, because you could use the lineman in a blocking situation, right? That's what you're talking about. I understand that. I'm all in favor of using the jumbo package. So I get that point. There's logic in that. But to the other side of the coin of what you're talking about, and this is where it gets kind of sticky, right? If you're the Giants and you've had a lot of trouble with offensive lines over the last decade, not just guys who haven't played well, but guys who always get hurt, and that you don't have any depth on your offensive line, well, what are you going to do? You have an opportunity this year that you think you've got 10 guys plus Zudu that you think can play. Why wouldn't you keep those guys, knowing that over the last decade, your offensive line has crumbled in a lot of ways like a graham cracker?
Yeah.
So, Joe, I get what you're saying, but can you blame them for wanting to stock up on offensive linemen?
Well,
I mean, come on. We've all beat the drums about this offensive line for a long time. They decided to keep extra linemen. Now you're going to criticize them for that?
Well, I'm not saying that, but I
kind of sounded like you
think
were.
There's something to say about keeping your best players there. You know, we could go back and talk about.
Yeah, but the point is always, if your offensive line doesn't hold up, it doesn't matter how many other players you have.
Oh, I understand that, but they haven't corrected the offensive line.
That's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to. That's why they kept 11.
I just used the offensive line as an example. I said possibly even take it from the defensive backs there, even because the coach even said they're Turbo Miller and Doldridge. They weren't only competing in their class; they were competing against
other positions,
extra linebackers and the linemen and that.
Joe,
Turbo Miller, Greg Dulcich, and Elijah Chapman all cleared waivers. So there is a chance. That they do sign with the Giants practice squad. So it's not over yet.
I hope we get him, and I hope we get Tommy DeVito.
I've got news for you. Tommy DeVito was actually claimed by the New England Patriots.
That, so. Okay, I figured the teams we played, like the Jets, that they would want these guys.
Joe, we got to run. We'll talk to you.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Yeah.
Before you get to that list, 1 second. I want to finish his point about the defensive backs. They only kept 3 safeties, so you can't skimp any more off the safeties.
Right.
Now, they did keep 7 corners. Jones has the ability to play some safety, which is some of the flexibility that they thought about yesterday. But more importantly, they thought about special teams, which Jones, Black, and Green all play significant special teams. The other thing they were thinking about is that Flott has had injury history throughout his career with the Giants.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, as much as I'm a big fan of his, and I'm also a big fan of Tay Banks has been nicked up and has missed some time in training camp as well. And they kept saying, well, Flott or Banks is going to be the corner too. Well, both guys have injury history, or at least some injury history, which again, you want to protect yourself. You don't want to get caught because of an injury situation, shorthanded at cornerback, that's not a position you want to be skimpy in.
Right.
So that's why they didn't take from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
now,
go through the list. What
as
do you
we
got?
mentioned, the waiver claims were due at noon Eastern, and now they're starting to trickle out. First of all, Tommy DeVito, congratulations. The only Giant to be claimed off waivers, the only quarterback to be claimed off waivers, is awarded to the New England Patriots. First of all, Tommy's going to love the north end there. Mike's Pastries, great cannolis. They got some good cutlets on the north end of Boston. So bring that energy out there. It's a good situation for him. Very happy for Tommy DeVito. Dante Miller, Greg Dulcich, and Elijah Chapman, all players that were on the bubble for the Giants. They did clear waivers. So remains to be seen if they do sign to the Giants practice squad. That is a possibility. And we'll be monitoring that as well. Additionally, the Giants were awarded 2 players on waivers. The Giants were awarded defensive back Bo Braid from Baltimore and Rico Payton from New Orleans. So 2 defensive backs, as we mentioned, there's need in that safety room. And the league's initial waiver claims in full came out. Albert Breer just tweeted out the league release of the first waiver claims. So Giants picking up 2 DBs, which of course will have to make corresponding roster moves. Remains to be seen what those moves will be.
Yeah, for sure. I will mention this: the Ravens safety that they picked up played at the University of Maryland. He was a teammate of Tay Banks.
Yep, Bo Braid. Yeah.
So that's one area of familiarity as they try to work him into the secondary. I don't know much about the other player at all.
Yeah.
At the moment. But yeah. I will look at tape tonight, I promise you.
We will. So, yes, of course, the rosters are still coming together. Now teams are making calls, making offers to practice squads, and players will be able to decide, hey, do I want to come back to this situation and be a part of this practice squad? Is there another team that looks like a better fit? But again, Turbo, player that really was on the bubble, a lot of people were excited about, did clear waivers. Greg Dulcich, guy that Joe was very excited about, did clear waivers. Mm-hmm. And Elijah Chapman, fullback / defensive tackle.
Yes.
Elijah Chapman cleared waivers, so it'd be a great opportunity if he is available to be signed to the Giants practice squad.
Again, we're going to talk to Joe Shane and Brian Dable in just a little bit.
About an hour, yeah.
But the thing to remember when Coach was talking about these particular players that we're just mentioning now who did clear, he was certainly effusive in his praise of each of them in their own right and on their own merits. Mm-hmm. One would expect that they would be offered the opportunity to come back. We can't tell you that for sure.
Well, we can't tell you that they'll accept the opportunity. We don't know what opportunity is best for them of the ones that they're offered.
Never
right?
can tell.
Is it this one? Are they offered an opportunity closer to family or in a situation that they feel like they might have a better chance of seeing the field? Remains to be seen.
It takes 2 to tango, right?
It does.
You got to have that person to sign the deal. You can't just give them a deal. They got to sign it too. So we'll see how it all works out. But I tell people this every year. Most of your practice squad players, you're 16, and then there's the one international exemption. Most of them are guys that you had in your training camp. That's just the way it works out. Usually because coaches, GMs, and personnels and scouts, they like to deal with guys who they know something about already. And, they always say, better to dance with the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Well, even though these guys didn't make you 53, right? Mm-hmm. You still know an awful lot about them.
Yes.
And there's a lot of value in that comfort zone as opposed to grabbing somebody from outside the building.
Yeah. Giants fans, make sure you go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present. Plus, hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or go to giants.com/podcasts. And don't forget, if you are on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Let's head back to the phone lines. We've got Ronnie in Florida holding on the line. Ronnie, welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live. You're on with Paul Dottino and Madelyn Burke.
All right, Madelyn and Paul, happy Wednesday. Before I get into my question, I just got a comment. Tommy DeVito to the New England Patriots. No surprise there because Tommy Cutlets DeVito, a Paisan, a John Bosco legend. He served up the antipasto, the main course, and the dessert all on their backups the other night. So I'm happy for him. I'm not happy he's in New England, but why wouldn't they pick him up? He really took care of him.
Yeah,
so,
he had a hat trick.
Yeah, he sure did. So I'm happy for him. God bless him, and that's really cool. Question. I mean, look, I'm a generational Giants fan. My uncle and my grandfather were at the 1958 championship game. I'm from Florida now, but we're from the boogie down, the Bronx. My dad and I still make it a point to watch Giant games together every Sunday. It's a family tradition, like I said, for generations. And for the first time in a while, I can, without too much cautious optimism, say, I think we finally have reason to be excited about this Giants team. So I'm thinking now that we have the initial 53 out, let's talk a little bit about some breakout players. Maybe a little bit more under the radar. And I got two in mind on offense, one in mind on defense, and I want to see what you guys think.
All right, let's hear it,
My
Ronnie.
two on offense. Absolutely. So my two on offense, Theo Johnson and Tyrone Tracy. I know Cam Scatterbull, everybody's excited about him, including me. Was watching that playoff game against Texas during the college football playoffs. I get it. He's going to be a future star, but I think this year it's Tyrone's show. And then on defense, it's got to be Tyler Nubin. So that's my two, well, I guess three, offense and defense. Curious to hear what you guys think.
I love the point, and I love the family tradition, Ronnie. Keep it up. Thanks for the call. I'm a big fan of these choices. I mean, Tyrone Tracy, 1,000 yards from scrimmage last season, already kind of on the radar, but I think he's going to continue that success. Theo Johnson was really getting into a groove when he got injured. He hurt his foot in November. And I think it seems like from what we're watching that he's picking up right where he left off. I mean, I remember when Russell Wilson signed with the Giants, his very first press conference, he kind of really impressed me with just how thoroughly he had watched the film. And one of the first, like he's citing like specific Theo Johnson routes that he had been like really impressed with. And so the fact that that is something that stood out to Russell Wilson enough in the very first media availability with Giants media when he signed with the team, and he's talking about Theo Johnson routes, that's a good sign for Theo. And then Tyler Nubin, of course, a player who, you know, was drafted out of Minnesota, really lauded for his ability to get to the ball and have some takeaways. Didn't have any his rookie year, but I know he's really wanting to get that number back up in his sophomore season.
I'm going to disagree with you on your calls there because I think Tracy and Nubin already made a mark. They've already stepped up and stepped out. Tracy had, 1,000 yards of total offense. Nubin was a starting safety. I think he had 90-something tackles. Should have been on the all-rookie team. They're here already. They've arrived. If you want to tell me Theo Johnson, because of the injury, the foot injury, didn't necessarily break out as a rookie as he could have. I think we all agree had he stayed healthy the whole season, he would have had much better numbers. So if you want to go there and say the injury prevented him from truly breaking out as a year one player, I'll give you him. But I'm not going to let you get away with Tracy and Nubin because they already broke out as rookies. They both were full-time. Well, Nubin stole when Singletary got nicked up. Tracy stole the starting job. Yeah. Nubin started the whole season.
Yeah, he Lou Gehrig, the Wally Pipp right there.
I mean, so...
But I will say, to Ronnie's point, if I'm going to say, okay, how do we make it... He was a standout player for the Giants. Perhaps he becomes a player in Ronnie's eyes that's respected league-wide rather than just from the Giants fandom, right? I think the Giants fans know what Tyrone Tracy does. If you ask a Ravens fan about Tyrone Tracy, how much are they going to really know and respect his game, right? If you're not watching the Giants week in and week out, is Tyrone Tracy a big league name? Maybe that's what he means by breakout in terms of not just be a big
notoriety
factor for
notoriety,
not just be an impactful factor for this Giants team, but an impactful factor who's gained respect around the league.
Within this franchise, there's no question about their impact.
Yeah.
But in terms of name factor, Q factor, okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you have that. But that's about as far as I'm going to go.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Hey, with another impactful draft and free agency class in the books, that means it's full steam ahead to the 2025 season. Take your fandom to the next level with a Giants season ticket membership and catch all the action at MetLife Stadium with an exciting home schedule on the horizon. Now, with the membership, you'll also stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days, with exclusive member access and benefits. So to learn more about a New York Giants season ticket membership, visit giants.com/tickets, 201-939-4513. Donnie in Queens has been holding for a bit. Donnie, thanks so much for calling in. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Paul Dottino and Madelyn Burke.
Yes, thank you, guys. Good afternoon. I wanted to make my bold prediction for the season.
All right, let's lock it in.
I also wanted to point out just one play from Jackson Dart in the preseason that I think I took the most from. I think we could kind of see preseason, you look like the most productive players on the Giants were released. Miller and Dolcic. You can only take so much from it. But that first pass he made in the Patriot game, the play to Olszewski when he scrambled, I think really highlights what's kind of been missing from the Giants. And I know, Paul, you're a big believer in this. Is you want your quarterback's mobility to be to evade, be elusive, and then throw. Mm-hmm. And that particular play, and this is not to knock Daniel or to relitigate Daniel Jones' career here, Daniel would have ran for the first down. And in the moment, you would have said, oh, look, his legs got us a first down, right? But the loss of the hidden yardage to scramble, evade, and hit a player downfield has really been missing. And to me, that was the most excited I got about any of the plays that Jackson made in the preseason was his ability he was calm in the pocket, he moved when he had to, and then when he got to safety, he didn't just tuck his head down and run straight and get the 9 yards. He scanned the field, he found somebody who was then able to go on and make a play. So I really thought that was something to really be excited about. And just for my bold predictions, regardless of the Giants' record, Jackson's first start will be Week 5 in New Orleans, and both he and Abdul will win their respective Rookie of the Year awards. So I'll hang up and listen, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
I like it. I like the boldness, Donnie. I think Dart and Abdul getting Rookie of the Year would be a big swing. That is a bold prediction. I could see. I don't necessarily know that a Rookie of the Year is going to be awarded to a player that doesn't start or doesn't play the whole season. But you never know. You never know.
Depends on how impactful he is.
That's why they call him bold predictions.
Exactly.
Donnie here with the boldness.
The Jets had that a couple of years ago.
True.
With Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, who were the offensive and defensive rookies of the year. So it's not unprecedented. Mm-hmm. I suppose it's possible. I mean, I suspect that Abdul Carter is going to be on the field for at least 66%, if not more, of the Giants' defensive plays. And it probably will increase as the season goes on. So whether or not he starts isn't so much the big deal. It's about how many plays is he going to be in and how many impactful plays does he make with those snaps that he gets.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. We've got some questions on YouTube as well. Ben McFadden, I was confused by an article. Can waivers be signed now or not till after today? So a waiver claim, if a player is claimed off of waivers at noon Eastern, then he is awarded to a team. So it's essentially the same as being drafted. You're just the team. Like, for example, the New England Patriots saw that the Giants waived Tommy DeVito. They said, we want Tommy DeVito. We claim him. Now Tommy DeVito is a member of the New England Patriots. They essentially they draft him off of waivers. So that's not necessarily a negotiation.
The contract gets transferred.
The contract gets transferred there.
Correct.
Scott Young says, if you're a player and sign on the practice squad, can another team steal that player? Now, each week you protect certain players on your practice squad, but...
Yeah, the rule is that if the player is not protected off of another team's practice squad, you can poach him. He's got to be on your 53, though. You can't take him to your practice squad. He's got to be active, and I believe it's a minimum of 2 weeks. He has to be on your 53 no matter what.
Right.
You're now married to that guy for at least a couple weeks. So there are some regulations there.
But it is possible. So if you have a player that you want that's on another team's practice squad, you can take them and claim them, but they have to be on your 53-man roster for
be careful. Don't use the word claim because the player doesn't have to go.
Oh, they don't?
No, they don't have to go.
Okay.
If I'm a player on the Giants practice squad, and the Washington Commanders, for example, want to sign him to the 53 of their team, and the player says, you know what, I don't want to go, he does not have to go.
Okay.
He could stay on the Giants practice squad. Now, usually when a player does that, it's because he just feels really good about his position. Sometimes the team will give him a little bit of cash incentive to say, no, I'm not going to go. But unlike waivers, which you're forced to go, you do not have to go to the 53 from the practice squad. In fact, our own Brandon London was in that situation some years ago.
That's true, yeah.
And, he wound up going, and he wished he hadn't gone. He's often said to me, I should have stayed on the Giants practice squad. I probably would have made it up to the 53 here at some point, but instead, he took the deal. He was with Miami and Pittsburgh before he wound up going to Canada.
Right, because sometimes you're there for a short stint, but then you haven't ingrained yourself into that organization enough to stay.
Yep, gotta be careful.
MB Goblin with a great theory. He says, I personally think Paul is downplaying his excitement over the engagement announcement, the grimy one, adding, Paul is a Swiftie.
Yeah. I'm just crushed at not being invited.
I know. I mean, listen, Paul was listening to, Love Story on the way in this morning, singing along with it. Taylor
would rather
and Frank
watch
Sinatra are right up there.
I'd rather watch a groundhog try to look for his shadow in ultra slow motion than to deal with anything involving this particular paparazzi situation.
We'll wear you down. Okay, what's going to happen first? Paul gets jazzed about the Taylor Swift engagement, or Paul plays fantasy football? We're working on it, people. We're working on it. Neither one. Also, MB Goblin adding that, can we all just take a moment to celebrate that for once in a long time, we're sad to see some players get waived during cuts. Feels good. It does. It feels good to have that depth, that you are at a point where you have a problem of too much talent.
Yeah, but you can now be doubly happy because there's a really good chance a bunch of your favorite guys who didn't make it yesterday will be back in the building today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a quick little turnaround. Giants fans, the Giants official connected TV streaming app Giants TV brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and on the Giants mobile app. 201-939-4513 is the phone number as we head back to the phone lines. David in Chicago. David, welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live. You're on with Paul Dottino and Madelyn Burke.
Hi, I like your opinion on something that I haven't heard talked about recently, and that's the cap. The Giants haven't really addressed anything. I haven't heard anything about getting Bellinger to take a cut, or maybe Nunes Roches to take a cut. And that's about the only place where they could get any money back. I mean, if they cut Neal, they don't get a penny back. And really, there's not a lot there to help them out in the cap. And I really haven't heard that discussed recently, so I'm going to hang up and listen to what your opinion on that.
You're not going to hear that discussed here because the Giants don't talk about contract renegotiations or adjustments. That's part of team policy. So you won't hear that here. As far as not hearing it anywhere else, that's probably because nothing's happened. The Giants are relatively tight against the cap. They don't have a huge boatload of room, according to the NFL Players Association. They don't. But at the moment, they also don't need it. So, most general managers won't necessarily try to make any adjustments with another player's contract until they feel they need that money for something. It doesn't make sense to do that until it's necessary.
Absolutely. I think it's a constant game of cap navigation, but as Paul mentioned, the team doesn't really discuss it internally or externally, and so it's kind of outside of our purview to be able to discuss on this program. But it is an interesting thing to monitor, David.
And honestly, the only time that, even from a fan's perspective, that's truly important, I know a lot of people just like to talk about it, but it's really irrelevant. The only time that it really becomes an issue is if the team is trying to get a free agent, where they're trying to make a trade for somebody who obviously has a bigger contract, or in the case of Brian Burns, was going to need a contract extension for big money in order to agree to the trade, right?
Right.
That's important. Because at that point, yes, the team needs a certain amount of cap room to be able to effectively get done the transaction they want to get done. Other than a situation like that, on August the 27th of 2025, when they're just trying to see if they can fill up their practice squad, this is not an issue.
No, not an issue at all. Giants fans, run or walk with Giants legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 26th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt, and after the race, stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. Now, Paul, we're about to hear from Joe Shane and Brian
Hold on
Dable.
a second. One of my friends is now texting me wanting to know if I'm a Swiftie because of what you said on the show.
It's
Okay?
called
Look at
influence.
this.
It's
Look
called
at this.
influence, people.
This is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. This is guilt by association.
I mean, there's worse things in life.
Oh, my goodness.
She's a lyrical genius, Paul. It's we're just changing the prophecy over here. Dottino.
Please read our promos. Thank you.
I mean, I got no further notes. I feel like I have done my part today.
Oh, man.
Step 1, Paul is just inching towards Swiftiness. Step 2, he's going to have a Taylor Swift themed fantasy football team. We're working on it.
I'd rather Dexter Lawrence squash me against a brick wall right now than have somebody call me a Swiftie ever again.
Well, you're swift with your delivery of Giants content. How about that?
Boy, okay, fine.
Where we're
Please, let's
rebranding
move on.
it. We're rebranding it. All right, we're wrapping up today's episode because, of course, in just about half an hour or so, around 2:00 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be hearing from Joe Shane and Brian Dable as they discuss the roster moves. Players are being signed to the practice squad, several of whom were roster cuts by the Giants, and that did clear waivers and will be officially announced later this afternoon. So we'll have all the latest information on that on Giants.com, on social media platforms, and of course on tomorrow's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live. You want to tune in, call in, and have a conversation about some of these moves once they're made official.
And don't forget tonight, John Schmelk and I will have a Giants season preview on WFAN from 7 to 9 p.m. tonight. And we'll take all your phone calls as well. So if you're more of a nighttime person instead of a daytime person, catch us tonight on The Fan.
Absolutely. And get excited. The season's around the corner. We are, just about a week and a half away from week 1. Giants Commanders.
Now that I can get excited about.
Look at this joy. Look at this joy.
There you go.
And you know what? We want to celebrate that with you guys as well. So as I mentioned earlier in the show, Friday, September 5th, 2 to 8 p.m. at the American Dream. Come out and support the Giants season kickoff event presented by Verizon. You're going to have appearances from a lot of the starting players on this Giants team. I'm not going to name names specifically, but you'll have to come through and see for yourself. Really cool experience, really great way to have kind of an intimate moment with some of this team as we get excited and look ahead for the 2025 season. Giants.com/season kickoff for tickets. All right, we're wrapping it up here because we got a busy day here at Quest. So for Paul Dottino, I'm Madelyn Burke. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining us on Big Blue Kickoff Live presented by Cadillac. Joining us here at the studio presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Giants podcast platforms everywhere. Giants.com/podcasts. That's how we're ending this podcast. See you next time.